So, Nuno to Saudi, the rumours are getting stronger. We're going to talk about Taiwo Marinakis and the new laws that are potentially coming in, and a look ahead to West Ham and some transfer news. Welcome to Grumpy Old Reds. Afternoon, everybody. Evening, afternoon, morning, whatever it is. Hope you guys are doing well. Sorry about the mix-up with the links, but the other one just wasn't working.
Mine says. Oh, sorry. First of all, you said this video is private, but it's now come up. So okay, sorry.
Is it working? Is everyone? Let's get some highs in the chat so we know it's working. There's like 100 waiting in the dead stream link.
Yeah,
what it is. Okay, people are moving across. Shout out to you guys. Hope you are well. We got a lot to cover off. Today. So, want to jump straight into it? We got the better looking crypto in. And Carlos, what are you saying, Carlos?
Hello, everyone. Good to be back.
I
know everyone loves it when I'm on, so I thought, bring the clown back in for everyone.
Carlos the clown. Make sure you subscribe to him. I'm gonna put,
Get your clown emojis in the chat. We'll get them up.
Yeah, we need to do a little emoji for Carlos, man. A little red nose and stuff.
There is one. There's one already, isn't there?
Yeah, one ready made. But yeah, I want to kick it off with. Do you want to start Taiwo or Nuno?
Ty, let's. I think Taiwo, because
I know you spoke about it, but yeah, let's get
on then.
Go on then. And
I'd like to say, and I'm sure this is echoed by every other Forest fan, that so relieved to hear that things are looking up. Is awake. He's talking to his family. They can't say right now whether the operation is a success, but there's every reason to believe it was. So let's hope so, and hope he's back as soon as possible for his own benefit, not for Forest, not for me, not for ours, but for his own benefit. I feel for the guy. He's had some bad luck. He's had some unfortunate injuries with the groin and what have you, and then he had a head injury, and now he's got. At least you can't deny he puts everything in it. He puts everything on the line, doesn't he? His body and soul, And I don't know why I'm doing this, glitching. I don't know why. Pissing me off.
No, bless you.
Because you're old. Yeah, we did a video update earlier. So for those of you who haven't caught it, it is good news. They've taken him out of his induced coma. He's, I think he's got his family around him, but he is staying in hospital to be monitored. So, best wishes to Taiwo. But that does kind of start the blame game, as Forest All Over would call it. Because I've had this debate on a few other panel shows, and it's clear the offside rule is stupid the way it was implemented correctly. It was nothing against the lineswoman. But I did ask the question earlier.
No.
Oh, just wait, just wait. I did ask the question earlier. If Elanga was on side, let's just pretend he was on side and that played out. Does that blame then shift where? Because Taiwo technically could have ended up. You get what I'm saying? So the play was actually onside, and he ends up in the post. What do we do about that kind of welfare for the players there?
Welfare for all players is one question, because that's all. Obviously, it has to be attached to when you raise that flag. So I think that's a separate issue to what I feel. That if there is going to be any blame, and I hate to say it, but I think in this instance there is, and I say it was from what I witnessed with my own eyes, and I clearly saw a player that could not even stand up. At the moment they were making the substitution, he could not stand up unaided. So how you can give a thumbs up at that stage, and Nuno can't see it, and I don't know who those headsets, because they've all got headsets on, haven't they, the physios? Yeah. Who are those headsets attached to? Because Nuno hasn't got a headset in, so who are they talking to? Because that decision was made there and then. It was a split-second decision, which I agree with you, Wolfie, didn't need to be made, I don't think. I think they could have held back the substitution in fairness altogether, but they made the decision, and it was made on split second, and it was made on the back of what the physios have put forward. Now, I've heard the argument said that, you can't see what's... Obviously, some of his injuries have been internal, so you can't see what's inside the body. But you didn't need to. That's all what I'm saying. It was so black and white that Taiwo was in no fit state to continue. I don't care what he's saying at that stage, because he didn't look right. Didn't look like he knew where he was. Quite similar to when he got his nose smashed off his face, and he was all over the place. It was very similar to see, and I agree with Ant. I feel so sorry for Taiwo for the lack of well, it's bad luck he's had, genuine bad luck he's had with these injuries, because some of them have been absolutely, feel like they've been life-threatening. But the decision and the blame, if there is any, has to go, and I don't care, it has to go on the physio staff. The player's health is their ultimate responsibility in that situation. It's not a managers. It's not to say, oh no, the manager said he's got to stay on. No, the decision should have been with them, and the ultimate decision was with them. And I felt that's where the mistake was made. And I'd be very, very surprised. I'm not asking for anybody to be sacked, but we've seen what Marinakis did after a failed, after what's his name, the left back with one leg, after his failed medical. You know what we saw what Nuno did to the medical staff, and he totally replaced them. So yeah, Omar Richards. So it's another incident like that from my point of view. But whether the flag should have been raised is a different question altogether, and I feel 100% it's got to be raised. You can't let those incidents happen again. And you're right to say that they are reviewing it now, and changes are being made. But why does it take for something like this to happen for that to be the case?
I've got a bit to say about this. Can I just jump in, because otherwise I feel we're going to go down the wrong track from the off. Right, the rules don't need changing, unless you're going to force linos to put the flag up every time. Because the rule, if the PGMO's rules on this subject, and they're quite clear, is that if a player appears to be in an offside position, obvious to the lino, it is, and it's the other way around. People think that you're allowed to put your flag up. No, the rule says it is permissible for the lines person not to raise his flag or her flag at that point. So it's totally down to the lines person. You are allowed to keep your flag down. It doesn't say you're allowed to put it up. You're allowed to keep it down if you want to. If but I still don't blame the lines person, because I believe that the Premier League probably encouraged linos not to put the flag up, to create that extra excitement, if you like. So this is my personal opinion. It's not the rule that's wrong. It's not on this occasion necessarily the PGMOL that's wrong. Not even the lines person themselves. I think that it's probably down to the Premier League putting pressure on not to raise that flag. So that's that rule. Let's get that rule. That needs establishing, that the rule as it is fine. Okay? It gives the lines person their own judgment. That's fine. Other than that, there's no blame for Taiwo going in. There's no blame for the cross. There's no blame for anything. Accidents happen in football. This was a bad one. But I agree with Ez 100%, because I was behind that goal as well. You could see Taiwo was not right. It was so obvious he was not right. So for the medical staff to say, yeah, it's all right, is the first issue. The second issue is, why did we need to make that substitution right then and there? Surely common sense says, even if he says he's all right, even if the medical staff say he's all right, from a manager's perspective, why don't you think, but I'll give him a couple of minutes to see if he's all right? And within that couple of minutes, it was obvious he wasn't all right. So that's my issue. Yes, it's the medical staff for giving the wrong diagnosis. And somebody earlier says you can't blame the medical staff because they can't make a diagnosis. Yes, you can. Yes, you can make a diagnosis there and then. You look in a player's eyes, you ask him what he feels. You don't just say, are you okay to carry on? So you can make a decision. And the least decision should be, give him a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
So that's where, so I blame partly the medical staff and partly the management. I'm not saying Nuno, because he don't make these decisions by himself when it comes to injuries and substitutions, I don't believe. But the management in general, it's partly their fault for not saying, well, let's give him a couple of minutes, because that looked bad. That's my opinion on it. Okay.
Carlos, what's your take on this whole scenario?
Well, well, he did something at the end of the game, didn't he? But
we'll come on to that.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's various aspects of this. I mean, when it comes down to the actual injury, it's just a freak injury, isn't it? Like that could have happened any time in the game, regardless of the offside thing or not. For me, it's definitely the blame of the physios out there. They should have, it was obvious to everyone it was a bad one. Like, regardless of what the player's saying, the physio should have just been like, sub him off, get him off, regardless of what anything else. But when it comes to the offside things, for me, what I would like to see happen is the linesman should only call an offside if it's obvious. That was obvious for me. That was an obvious offside one. Like you could see he was clearly offside. The linesman should have flagged immediately. That for me, that's what the linesman should be doing, flagging obvious offsides to stop the play. Anything close where it's marginal, I don't think the linesman should get involved. They should just let the play carry on. And if there's a goal, then VAR steps in. It's offside, gets disallowed. That's what I would like to see happen, because how many times in a game do you see a linesman put his flag up and it's not offside and then they stop play? Yeah. And he's actually onside. And this, you get crucial moments in games where the play should have carried on and you could have scored. So for me, I think we need to take away some of the responsibility of the lines people and only let them flag if it's blatantly offside, clearly offside. That's their job, to flag for clear offsides, not for marginal.
I agree with you. Yeah, I'd like to see that.
You do understand, though, don't you? There'll be a line. It's like, what, a yard? If it's a yard offside?
Clear offside.
If it's a foot offside, do you put, where do you draw that line? That's the issue,
just call it air. Do you remember the air rule? Just bring that in. If there's air.
Yeah, but do you trust linos to be dead in line to see air? Do you mean air between bodies?
Yeah. Clear space.
I think that should be the rule anyway, by the way.
I think that's the easiest way to do the rule. Just say,
from the linesperson's point of view, I agree. That's the only time they should flag. They should not be flagging for tight decisions. Tight decisions should be left to the automated system or semi-automated system. That's why it's semi-automated, so you don't really need a human being involved in it,
It's not semi-automated yet, though. It's not.
Yeah, but it's been bought in. That's already been bought in.
It's not. Semi-automated's not coming in yet. I don't believe it's
next season. 2 weeks ago. It was bought in 2 weeks ago.
There's like 3D graphics you've been seeing for the last 3 weeks on your screen.
Well, then why didn't that catch it? Why didn't the semi-automated offside catch it?
It doesn't.
It doesn't do it
semi-automated.
Yeah, you have to kind of still put it in.
Keyword.
But
this is like one of those air crash investigations where everybody did their job as they're supposed to, and yet the plane still crashed, right? I don't really want to play the blame game with anybody. If that lines person has followed the instructions, I mean, the thing is, we see that all the time where it's allowed to carry on, even when it's blindly offside. And then, as everybody expects, 30 seconds later, the flag goes up. We knew.
It's not the first time either, Rob. Edison got bad.
It's just that the outcome this time was so spectacularly bad, you have to call it into question. Now, I think the reason for this is that it's been shown that the goals per game is just dropping and dropping and dropping because VAR is ruling so much stuff out at the moment. So I think the reason for having this sort of leniency in, like let it go and we'll review it later, is because they would hate to be ruling something out for something that wasn't offside. But it does now feel like the people on the pitch are now not empowered to make the decision and they're just letting it fall back to VAR. Now, about the medical staff, I think it's really bad how they've been called out. I don't even know if they've been fired or not, but if you're going to do an investigation, Don't reach your decision. Now, what's happened is he's slammed into the post. It's happened very quickly. His injuries were not visible. Everyone can see that. He could have just been winded, and he may well have said to them, "I'm all right. I can keep going." And he's only just been brought on. So now I think Ant's probably right in that if they just held Jota Silva back for a bit longer, they would have seen, hey, we need to be substituting Taiwo, not Elliot Anderson, right? But I think we've got to remember that if that was the heat of the moment, those were probably the hottest few minutes of the season so far. So everybody's been making questionable decisions. And it's really easy to sit here now and say, should have done this, should have done that. I mean, at the time, I was watching TV and I could see close-ups of everybody from the cameras, and I could see exactly what was going on. No, they need to substitute Taiwo. But as I said the other day, that Neville can't see what's going on 100 yards away. All he can see is bodies and stuff, and he's got to go on what he's told. But I think we should probably just move on from it because, like I say, everybody did what they were supposed to do, and yet the plane still crashed. But it's very difficult. I think it's really wrong to pin it on one person, like the linesman or the physio. I think it's just extremely unfortunate what's happened. Nobody's mentioned yet the fact that Buonanotte has actually taken Taiwo's legs from under him, and that's why he's gone into the post. I don't believe that's deliberate, but let's add that to the list of causal factors here.
It's fair point. Fair point.
The thing is, Rob, you mentioned there about the linesman doing what they're supposed to do, like letting the play go on when it's a blatant offside. But yet they're prepared to gamble on guess. They kind of guess sometimes whether it is offside when it's really tight. So it's a total contradiction of the current rule, isn't it?
It feels like the officials are having less and less power now if they're just going to basically not make decisions until it's been checked. That
lines person could see Elanga was offside, clearly 100% offside, and he flags, or she, whoever it was.
She.
But but how many times in a game do you see him flag for a really tight decision, and it turns out they were wrong? We should take that away from them. Why are we relying on them? They're trying. They're kind of guessing sometimes, aren't they? Because it's so fast. Take that away from them.
That has been taken away from them. That's what we're saying.
No, it isn't. They're still flagged, don't they? There's been loads of games this season where they're flagged for offside and people have been onside.
Very, very, very rare. And I do support the idea of them not raising the flag for close decisions. I do support that because, as Carlos was alluding to, in the past, many goals were given offside that shouldn't have been. So I do agree with the fact that they now hold the flag down on tight decisions. But if you took, I was in the Trenton. I was 50 yards away from Elanga at the time. We could see he was up. None of us got excited. None of us jumped up thinking we'd gone through. We all knew he was offside. In fact, I'm a little bit surprised. I'm not blaming Taiwo 1 second, by the way. Don't jump on me. But I'm a little bit surprised that Taiwo actually went with it with such vigor because.
No, he had to. He had to.
Oh, no, he didn't because he knew he was offside. He must have done. O'Ryan said in his position at fullback, I could see he was miles offside. That's
but then you can say, well, why did Elanga continue his run if you're going to do that?
You could blame Elanga. It's technically his fault. He knew, didn't he?
You could tell from the way Elanga took the ball, you could tell that he knew he was offside.
Yeah.
But you still play to that margin of error because
you shouldn't, should you? Because it's stupid.
Well, no, it's not because Elanga may not see. No, listen,
there's no point playing to the whistle, is there? There's no point playing to the whistle because he knows VAR is going to rule it out.
Mate, if you're 3 yards offside, you know you're offside. You know that VAR are going to rule it out. You know that the lineman's only keeping it flagged down because he's been told to.
I'm just saying to the player next to him. For all Elanga knows, there's a right back behind him that's playing him onside. This is what I'm saying. Like, there's those.
Well, because you could tell by his body language that he knew he was offside.
All right, potato. All right, let's move on. We've talked about Marinakis, guys. How are we doing? 300 in here, 52 likes. Let's get over 100 likes. I am dying to know Carlos's take on Marinakis. And by the way, make sure you subscribe to Carlos. The link's pinned in the chat, right? He's on 76 subscribers. By the end of the stream, it needs to be triple digits, right? So do me a quick favor. Click on the link that's pinned at the top. Make sure you're subscribed to Carlos. Let's get him to 100. You guys can do that. That's 24 of you to subscribe. Just take like 2 minutes. Carlos, I've been like dying for this conversation, bro. What are you saying
about the incident at the end of the game? I mean, look, that should not have happened. I know you guys are all like, you think it's good that the owner's got passion and is out there and everything. I don't even think the owner should be on the pitch. I don't think he should be in the tunnel high-fiving people as they're coming in. I know it's great to see and it's brilliant, but it's not always good times, is it? He's not always high-fiving people in the tunnel. When we lose, he's apparently the atmosphere behind the scenes is really off and is not allowed to have music on and all kind of stuff like that. There shouldn't be, for me, that kind of owner presence in that area during a game. And he should not have ran on the pitch. Now, I know the club are trying to spin the narrative that he was more angry about the incident with Taiwo and the substitution and stuff. That whatever he was having a go at Nuno for, you should not do that on the pitch. If I'm at work, I don't bollock my staff in front of other people. I'll do it privately in an office because that's how you're supposed to do it in professionally, and it should be the same way in football. It should be professional. And if he's got anything to say to Nuno about whatever, it should be done in private, not on the pitch. That was out of order, and it has brought more shame on the club because of it.
So but he was right.
The only person who's brought shame on is fucking Gary Neville, mate.
Gary Neville's out of order for what he said as well. 100%.
Yeah, no, right. Yeah.
100%. He should not be saying that. Sky should be bollocking him for that because he's representing Sky.
But look, Carlos, you're saying you don't even like him celebrating in the tunnel or even technically behind the scenes with the players. Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with you on that one.
Maybe you can do it later, but not straight after the game. He shouldn't. For me, he shouldn't be because do you know what? Right, you watch sometimes, and then he's like really hugging some players. Some players just walk past him, or like it gets. There's clearly like some don't like him, or there's something going on. It's a little bit weird, but I can see why fans love it. The owners down there hugging the players, but not everybody's getting a hug. So what's that all about?
You ask about Ant's t-shirt. Ant's t-shirt. If you want to grab the Greek father t-shirt as uglily modelled by Ant, there, I've put the link for you guys in the chat so you can grab it. Show. Let's see it, Ant. Let's see it.
Get your pennies out. It ain't cheap.
Show him again.
Have you lowered the price since I bought one?
Yeah, no, it's just an expensive one for you. Show him the t-shirt, Ant. Go on then.
Show him the t-shirt. Stand up and show him.
I can't stand up. If I stand up, you'll see I've got no pants on.
Right there.
Oh my God.
And can
you go grab it on our store. There's loads of merch on there. I don't think we've ever even told you lot about it, but there's plenty.
If you guys are old school,
no, only me.
If you guys are proper old school, can I just quickly say
a question? Right?
Go on.
What rule did Marinakis break?
It's not. Right? No, it's not. Rob, it's not about rules. I don't know what the rules is. I'm assuming the owner is allowed to go on the pitch and stuff like that. Yes. You should not be bollocking Nuno in front of a stadium of people and on TV. Whatever he was bollocking Nuno for or having a go at him for, he should be doing that in private.
That's up to Nuno to decide, not you.
It's not up to Nuno to decide. Nuno was one getting the bollocking.
Whether he accepts the way that Mr. Marinakis behaved towards him, which, by the way, he wasn't bollocking him. He was going on about the medical stuff and Taiwo.
I did say whatever it was about. Let's not get perception. Perception. It looks like a bollocking.
Let's not get facts in the way of a good moan, right?
Yeah.
It's up to Nuno. If Nuno isn't prepared to accept that, it's within his purview to go in and say, right, I'm off. Bye. I'm not putting up with that. That's Nuno's decision, not yours.
Yeah,
nobody has the right. It pisses me off. Hang on, it pisses me off in today's modern world that everybody seems to think they have the right to be offended for somebody else. It's full of it, and I'm sick of it, mate. Right? It's up to Nuno.
Yeah, I felt Nuno dealt with it.
Just to be clear, I think that this is the official version of events, which is something of a reframing of. Listen.
You were there and heard it, did you?
Look, my view of it was that he was somewhat pissed off that we'd just blown 100 million worth of Champions League, and he went on the pitch to make that known to the manager, which is his prerogative, by the way, because that's 100 million he's going to have to find from his own bank account to make up for it. Now, I'm actually fine with that. Now, what has since happened is I think there's been an attempt to reframe it in terms of concern for a player's welfare. That may be true. It may not be true. I actually don't care if he was just pissed off that we drew that game and wanted to go and complain to Nuno about it. And from my reading of body language, I mean, I don't speak Greek or Portuguese, but I do lip read, and it looked to me like he was saying, "What the F was that?" I mean, where do you start with that game, right? So, and that's
sorry,
what we were all
Rob,
thinking.
for your own sake, I want to make this clear. When he says, "For what the F was that?" does he mean what the F was that crap performance, or what the F was that with Taiwo?
Both, all of it.
Well,
It looked to me like anyway, right? So
just like when they reframed Marinakis spitting at the official, that he had like.
That was a great reframe.
He did have phlegm.
Exactly. Just add it to the list of reframing.
I had to use that the other night on Potts' channel, and they all burst out laughing like I'd made it up. I'm like, I'm not making it up.
That's official
By the way,
This is a
can I just
statement,
clear something up about Gary Neville? Right, that guy. I looked on Twitter. He's got something like 1.5 million Twitter followers. Right. So I think he's under some illusion that he's actually popular. Right. But if you look at every time he does a tweet, 99% of the responses are anti-Gary Neville. So I think he's basically got a similar sort of following to Just Stop Oil. Every time they would block a bridge or something, they go, "Look, we blocked this bridge." And there would be like 5 pages of people going, "You complete..." I won't say it because it's 7 p.m. So, but I think Gary Neville has got some idea that people actually like him and want to hear what he's got to say.
Most of the hate comes from the Man U fans.
He's had no value, and he's managed to be consistently wrong on so many things. And I think in this case, he has an axe to grind with Evangelos Marinakis because he was forced to apologise to him. And I think he'll probably be apologising to him again. So, it's possible for more than one person to be out of order here, but he definitely was.
Yeah. All right, let's move this on because I want to get into this Nuno talk at the moment. Guys, what we got here coming up to 350 in the house. Make sure you've hit the like button. Make sure you've subscribed as well. Make sure you subscribed over to Carlos's channel. It's pinned in the live chat. We need to get to 100 subscribers there.
That'd be amazing.
Go give him a sympathy subscribe at the very least. Go click on that link. Subscribe to Knocked Up TV. Couldn't resist. Shout out to Crypto with the 4.99. He goes, "If we postulate against Chelsea last game of the season, I'll be going out there on the pitch with Marinakis too." You know what? I hope you do that, man. And I want to see you get arrested. It'll be hilarious.
We've already told it.
All good content. Go on,
yeah. Make sure you're filming it, Ben. Make sure you're filming it.
Film it and make sure you got TV across your top.
Yeah. Oh, can you imagine what? Oh, can you imagine Twitter if like somebody ran on with FFTV? Can you imagine?
Oh my God, man, the meltdown would be hilarious. All right, let's move this on to the kind of main topic on Nuno. So, for those of you who aren't up to speed on it, Silva was approached by Al Hilal in Saudi. And they have a short list of him, Nuno, and I think the other one was Mourinho, if I remember rightly. Silva was top of their list. Now, he's come out and said that he doesn't want to move outside of Europe, which is interesting. He didn't say, "I want to stay at Fulham." He says he wants to stay within Europe, which puts now, according to some people, Nuno to be favourite to be approached by El Hilal next for this job. So, let's get into this debate. Nuno obviously has managed in Saudi before, Premier League. I think he won the league there, didn't he? And then he didn't win their version of the Champions League. What are you guys saying about this? Ez, firstly, are you giving this story much credence? Because it has been building for about a week or two. They're part of the Club World Cup, and they want a manager in place for that, by the way. So, and chat, get your thoughts in on this.
Yeah, I think out of respect for Nuno, we've not really delved into this too much, but it's obviously, you're right, it's been building over the last few weeks, and I think there is some real truth in it because he won the league out there. Now, the manager that he's overtaking has been sacked because he's failed to win the league. Nuno is kind of really wanted out there. Now, whether that's enough for him, for his head to be turned, I think he made enough money in his first stint, really, if it's just a financial thing. But that's not to say that they don't want him. That doesn't.
Yeah, that's the key point. let's just clarify that. This is them chasing Nuno and Silva and Mourinho, not the other way around. Sorry, go on, Ez.
Exactly. So not the other way around. So whether his head would be turned or not, I don't. Who's to say? But it's certainly something for him to think about. And if he do come in with a genuine offer, then he may even think about it at the end of the season. Right now, we haven't discussed it, and what would we want in that situation, because it might not be in his hands by the end of the season. If the rumours are to be stoked up by the other headlines that are coming in about Nuno and Marinakis falling out, which we don't believe is true, because we've kind of like covered that in the last section, that it wasn't Nuno that he was technically having a go at. He was having a go at the situation. But he's not, no manager is safe. Doesn't matter what he's achieved, you know. So it's not for us to say that we don't want him, but he might be getting his head turned by someone elsewhere. But he definitely do want him. That's true. And like you said, the speculation has been building over the last few weeks. So it's not going away from what I can see. We won't obviously hear anything more until the season's over. But you're right, they are in the Club World Club, so they will want a decision fairly soon if there is any interest from Nuno's side of it. But other than that, like I said, all I can say is they're definitely interested. Whether his head will be turned or not, that's purely down to Nuno.
Yeah, and the good one to follow on this, I mean, we'll keep you posted, but Ben Jacobs is like the tier 1 these days for Saudi Arabia, our mate. So if anything develops, we'll get him on and we'll have another chat with him. Let me get to Ant on this one. Well, what are you saying to this, Ant? Could you see it happening? Do you want to see it happen? Do you think Nuno should stay and build on?
That depends. I mean, Nuno has done a magnificent, unbelievable job for us this season. Let's get that straight. So none of us want to see him hounded out, and I don't think that I know the fans won't hound him out. However, we saw a little bit on the weekend of Mr. Marinakis' frustrations one way or another. So whether that was indicative of how he's feeling about Nuno, or whether it was just literally a spur of the moment thing, we know that he's like that. He's done it in Olympiacos on a number of occasions. So there is I don't like speculating too much, because Nuno's our manager and he's doing a cracking job and he's still here, you know, and all the indications are that he'll be here next season, and hopefully he'll have a good summer and he'll progress the team and change the style up a little bit. Yeah, you know, we can't throw everything away, but let's change it up a little bit, be a bit more, have a bit more possession in games, create more chances. So, but he could go. He could. Especially if Marco Silva's in the equation, because we know that Mr. Marinakis is a big friend of Marco Silva. I think he wants it. Silva's made it quite clear he doesn't want Saudi. He turned out about 150 million quid, didn't he, a couple of years ago? Yeah. So he clearly doesn't want to go there, at least not yet. I think the Forest job would appeal to him. Obviously, friends with the owner. We are a more ambitious club than Fulham. I think we'd all agree with that. You know, everything that goes with Nottingham Forest is all there. So I think that if Nuno were to go to Saudi, there's every chance that Silva would come into Forest. And would I be happy with that? Yes, I would, because I rate Silva as a manager. I think he'd be more progressive than Nuno. That's not to say I want Nuno out before people go at me, but I think Silva's a far better manager. It's a
difficult conversation to have.
Yeah, it is difficult, because
let's just go above all the social media.
But let's just say, I just want to back Ant up, because it does feel like we've kind of got a ready-made replacement in Marco Silva. Obviously, we've been given advice that he is good friends with Mr. Marinakis. We did have very clear conversations in that first season. Partly helped. Well, Marco Silva clearly helped Cooper stay in the job in that first season. From his advice, is what we were told Mr. Marinakis took in deciding not to sack Cooper when he did, and that's obviously saved us that season. So they've obviously got a great friendship, and they speak to each other behind the scenes. So it's not massively wild speculation to say that Marco Silva could be lined up for the Forest job. But right now, as it is, Nuno is the man in place, and we're very happy with what he's achieved for us this season, from taking us from where he took over to where we are now, it's night and day. So we're
By
not
the
asking
way,
for him to be replaced, but he's very. Every manager's got his time and his place and his price on his head. You know, go on.
I was going to say is I don't blame the Saudis for wanting him back. By the way,
no, that's what I mean. He's got success out there.
Yeah,
and look what he's done at Forest since. So yeah, I don't blame the Saudis.
The only reason anybody would go to Saudi is for the money, and he's already done that. And you know, been there, done that. And right now, his stock in the Premier League and in Europe is so high that he must have better options than that. So if he was going to leave, I don't see that would be his first choice destination.
Money does. You know, if you're going to be offered,
he's already done one out there.
No, I'm not saying, Rob. I'm not saying for 1 minute that he'd bail out from Forest to go to Saudi. I don't think he would. I think that the project he's got here, if he's happy and Mr. Marinakis is happy with him, I think there's no reason. I can't see a reason why he'd want to leave us. So I agree with what you're saying, and no matter what money they throw at him, yes, I can see him turn it down. But if there is a slight schism there, and he can see the future and think, if I don't maintain what I've done this season, i.e., challenging for Champions League, I'm going to be out here. I'm a better off jumping ship while I've got the opportunity and all that money. That's what I'm saying. You can't count anything out. But I agree. I don't think it's his first choice.
Well, can I also say what I think happened sometime after that on-pitch incident? So let's firstly give tribute to Nuno for how very professional and diplomatic he was when he was interviewed by the BBC and Sky. And he said, oh, you know, emotions were running high and we should have won, and etc., etc. He took responsibility, defended the owner, etc. And I think what's happened is the two of them have sat down and Marinakis has said to him, look, I'm sorry about that. And Nuno's said, no, it's all right, mate.
Really?
It's another one of Rob's scenarios. I reckon he's got a bug inside the office.
No, that is just from my views on human nature.
You live in such a platonic world, don't you, man? It's utopia you live in, Rob.
No, look, listen, we know that Evangelos Marinakis and Steve Cooper were not even talking for the last 2 weeks, right? I don't think it's anything like that. Yeah. And the backpedaling the backpedaling that the owner has done since then, and the diplomacy with which Nuno handled the situation, shows me that is two sides that are trying to stay friends, if you like. So I don't think there's an issue there, and I don't think there's an incentive to go to Saudi. And personally, I'm not sure really what you guys see in Marco Silva, because I look at Fulham and they are ending the season worse than we are, right? They weren't even.
I think he's digressed. I think Silva's digressed this season, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, honestly, he's the sort of managers that have made more of a case would be somebody like Iraola if he was available as a replacement. But I'm not sure Silva has really made a great case. I just want to say, I think that look, what is responsible for our drop off in form, right? I must say that for the first 2/3 of this season, Nuno was absolutely cool as a cucumber. You couldn't see any emotion on his face. He was stoic. And if we'd scored a goal, he'd just turn around and go like that. But like the last few weeks, I've seen stress.
Did I get Rob? Did I get?
I've seen the stress etched on his face, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I think everybody's bottled it a bit. Whether it's him, whether it's Murillo and Milenkovic, who were solid and have both made catastrophic errors in the last few games. So, you know, he's feeling the pressure. But we have to remember the underlying reason for why we've had this drop-off is we were not as well equipped as the other squads that were fighting for the Champions League, and we didn't sign anybody in January, right? And this is what, you know, whatever happens in the next 2 games, they will sit down at the end of the season and say, look, Nuno, we still love you. Here's our list of 4 or 5 new signings. Would you like to stay on for another year? I think that's how it's going to play out, whatever happens in the next couple of games.
Okay, thank you for talking about something that wasn't related to the question, but I just want to see that fist pump again.
The question is about will Nuno go? I don't think he will, and I don't think.
Let me bring Carlos in. I want Carlos's take on this. Just before I do, we're on 120 legs. coming up to 400 in the house. You know the drill, guys. I hate having to keep reminding. It's free to do. Hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. And make sure you're subscribed to Carlos as well. The link's pinned in. I think only one of you is subscribed. You're embarrassing us in front of our guest. He's up to 77. We need 23 more to subscribe, right? I'm going to give you guys 10 minutes to get it to 100 subscribers. And then we're doing a camera off thing until it happens. So go on, Carlos, what's your take on it? Bear in mind, like, they've also talked about Silva a bit, but the report that came out was about Valverde from Atletico Bilbao, or Club Athletic, whatever they go by these days. So who Nuno is a huge admirer of. He had him at Olympiacos, etc. But are you giving any credit to this or any credence to it?
Oh, no. Not at all. I think it's just paper talk. I think both rumours are just paper talk. I don't think he's going to go Saudi, and I don't think. Yeah, I mean, I just don't think he's going to go Saudi. But the thing is with Nuno, right? He has done an absolutely amazing job this season. There's no doubt in that. Like before the start of the season, none of us here thought we would be in this situation, did we? Like, he has done absolutely amazing. I think we started off the season and we caught loads of teams out by having such a good defence with Marinakis adding to that. You know, Anderson, Elanga and Hudson-Odoi on the wings. We caught a lot of people out counter-attacking. And I think in the end, teams worked us out a little bit. They knew how to ruin our style of play a little bit, stop us from transitioning so well. We're getting injuries and all that. And we've kind of faded out, haven't we, a little bit? So, like, it's hard to have this conversation about Nuno because he's potentially going to be nominated for manager of the season, or if he probably has already. You know, so, like, it's a really tricky conversation to have because he's done so well and he's got us into Europe. It could be Europe, it could still be Champions League. So, like, it's so hard to talk about it because he's done so well. But the elephant in the room for me is I don't enjoy watching us under his style of play. I don't enjoy it. I know we've had a bit more possession recently in games, but before that, you're basically watching Forest. You're watching other teams attack us constantly. We barely have the ball. It's not fun to watch. You know, it's not the kind of style of football I personally want to see all the time. I would like to transition into a more possession-based play. And if Nuno was to leave for whatever reason and somebody else took over, I think it would pivot better for Europe, because I think our current style will not translate very well in Europe, because I think teams will just keep the ball and they'll just literally not let us have it. We'll barely be able to transition. Counter-attack won't work against it. That's why this style of play isn't used throughout Europe that much. You know, we're one of the few teams that do it. It's been great this season. It's caught everyone off guard. Everyone's wised up to it in the end, and we've struggled with injuries. You know, we've got really no plan B, but we don't know what to do with the ball. I personally don't like Nuno's style of play, but I do appreciate what it's done for us this season. And it's an amazing achievement.
It's a bit like what you would say, Anne, isn't it? It's fine while you're winning.
Yeah, it is fine when you're winning. Brilliant when you're winning, but when you're not winning and you're struggling to see games out, it's horrendous to watch. It's not for me personally. It's not for me. I'm not saying I want Nuno out. I think if we kept Nuno, which I think we probably will, he's the kind of manager that will always get us challenging for Europe or qualifying for Europe. I don't think we'll ever be in a relegation struggle with Nuno. I think he'll always keep us mid-table to, Europa Conference. I think that's what he will consistently get us. I don't think he's going to get us above that. Is that fine? Yes. That is, for me, success in the Premiership. Do I enjoy watching it? Not so much.
I think it's fair. There's a couple of said, careful what you wish for, Carlos. He's not saying out a team lot, but
I want Ant to jump in, but we got to be careful what you wish for. It's happened to a few teams up and down the years doing that. We saw it happen to Burnley when they got rid of Daesh, and then they just plummeted and have been the yo-yo team since. West Ham have done it. Newcastle have done it at times. So, careful what you wish for, because we've got it as good as we've had it in at least 30 years, So, I'm I'm not so sure. But I don't think anybody's saying that we want Nuno out. We were just looking at, we're talking about the speculation around him. But yeah.
This isn't a debate on the manager. This is a debate on the stories going round. But go on, Ant. What are you going to say?
Yeah, no. Well, the first thing I was going to say was with Iraola, just a word of caution about one-season wonder managers in the Premier League. It's happened before. I'm not saying he is, by the way. He might be brilliant again next season, but sometimes managers do this. Anybody remember Harry Potter, Graham Potter? You know, the world's best manager. Everybody fighting over for him. He went to a different club, a different sort of bigger situation, and not good. And he's not doing that well at West Ham. But here we go. As for Europe, I mean, I agree with Carlos 100%. I said it myself earlier on that, you know, we need to see him get some more progressive players and change, give us more possession and have more progression next season. We have to see that, because I hate to say this because I've been told this all season by opposing fans, but it's not sustainable. The way we play is not sustainable. We overachieve. I'm going to switch my camera off because it's distracting, but I'm going to overachieve.
Thank God for
we've
that.
overachieved this season on goals scored from chances created. We've overachieved. Yep. You can't rely on that for another season. We've scored more goals than we had any right to score at Vital, and we win 1-0. You know, so we can't rely on that. So that needs to change. But hang on, Rob. But in Europe, I think Nuno's tactics could work. Unlike Carlos, who doesn't do that.
Yeah.
What did he do with Wolves? I can't remember what stages they got to.
I think quarter-final was as far as we got.
Let me just finish this point, and then you can do your research. So,
yeah, sure.
Teams in Europe won't be used to playing against that sort of system, and also a lot of teams in Europe like to play possession ball. Well, we like teams to play possession ball. That don't bother us. It's ideal for us, and they're not used to teams counter-attacking the way we do. So, actually, I think that weirdly enough, Nuno ball could work in Europe to an extent.
It could.
We've actually had the majority of possession in our last 3 league games. It's the results that have been crap, not the possession.
Yeah, but is it because of the possession?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It goes back. It goes back to Carlos's point about us not having a plan B, and I've got no problem with Nuno's plan A. I think I agree with Ant as well. I think in Europe actually it's perfect.
We're not good when we go behind. We're
not good when we've got possession. We can't break teams down. We haven't got enough tricky players that can do something special, something different.
Felt over the last 3 or 4 games is how slow we are to get the ball forward. You know, there were times when Leicester would give the ball away or Palace would give the ball away, and instead of just shooting over the top and bearing down on goal, we were giving their whole team time to get back. And then they're defending with 2 banks of 4. And we're messing around, passing it left and right until eventually we lose it and they break against us and score. So I feel like the style of play has actually changed a little bit for the worse. I mean, it hasn't helped.
I think it's the fact that the teams we've played have been poor teams, but they don't want the possession either. So it becomes stalemate.
What's really hurt us recently is just we just don't seem to be able to catch a break, having Wood, Elanga and Hudson-Odoi all fit and firing at the same time. It's always been like at best 2 out of the 3. And I think that's partly why it's declined, because we were absolutely deadly on the break and we're just not now.
Yeah, and Jota and Silva, Jota and Sursa have just not done it, have they? They were supposed to be the replacement wingers for for Elanga and Hudson-Odoi, and they've just not. It's just not happened, has it? They're just not good enough.
No. And Carlos, they would have been fine for a mid-table team, but for a team pushing for Champions League places, they're just not a good enough backup. And this is where it goes back to, in January, you've got to strengthen in a position, position of power. And I said this before the January transfer window ended, but it reminded me of that Nicky Shorey season, that we were going to get promoted. We were in such a strong position after beating West Brom, and it was just that one player we needed, one key player in that left back position, and we didn't get him. and we didn't get promoted that season. And then you see the flip side of the promotion season, where we had a very viable offer at the time from Brentford for 20 million for Brennan Johnson, and 20 million in the Championship is a hell of a lot of money. But we decided, no, he's our key player. We'll hold on to him. We'll gamble on will we get promotion, and that gamble paid off. So it has gone both ways in the past. In this situation, I don't know what the best solution is really, but yeah, I don't think we need. We definitely need better backup, and we should have got at least one or two players in that were better than what we had in forward positions in January. And if it does end up costing us Champions League, which is what we will discuss as we're doing a bit more preview of West Ham game, then it's got us a costly mistake. And if rumours are to be believed, going back to that report from The Athletic, it was Nuno's decision not to strengthen in January.
I still don't believe it.
I do.
No manager in the history of football has ever refused new players. Never. No, I'm not.
There is scenarios where they would.
Maybe that's why Marinakis was on the pitch having a go at him. Maybe he was like, "You should have brought players in."
Is the checkbook? I showed it to you.
Yeah.
Shout out to Chris with the £2. He goes, "I've missed his nonsense." Now, Chris, you're gonna have to be more specific than that. You talking about Rob? You talking about Anne? Yeah. Or are you talking about Carlos? I think he's talking about Carlos there. So thank you for the £2.
Do you know what I'd like to see come in? If Nuno did leave, I'd like to see Rosinia come in from Strasbourg in France. You know, the ex-Hull City manager. Yeah. He plays a really nice brand of football. He's done a great job at Strasbourg this season as well.
He's in the Chelsea ecosystem though, isn't he?
He is, but they play really nice football.
Yeah, and they
got Liam Rosinia's dad. Huh? That's Liam Rosinia's dad, isn't it? But I haven't seen what he's been doing at Strasbourg. To be honest. Yeah,
I think it is Liam Rosinia, isn't it?
What's his son's name? One of them's a player, and one of them's a coach, isn't he? I can't remember his player's name then. Sure.
He was at Derby as well. Remember, he was at Derby at one stage, and he was with Rooney at Derby, and he was actually credited for when Rooney kept him up that season. It was more down to him than Rooney, and I think based on how Rooney's done since.
Yeah, no, but dad is Leroy. But dad is Leroy Rosinia.
Yeah, Leroy. Yeah. Shout out to Alistair, becoming a new member. Big up to you. And Anthony with the $5. He says it will be the summer of depth building and hole plugging. Come on, you Reds.
Yep.
I think it needs strengthening as well, man. I mean, it depends how big those holes are. Is it going to be a Morgan Gibbs White hole? Is there going to be a Murillo hole? I think this is going to be one of the most fascinating summers we do get to see. So, okay, let's get into the West Ham game. We're on 144 likes, just under 400 of you in here. Guys, get up to 150. Come on, let's do that. And you got Carlos up to 81 subscribers. So 19 more of you need to subscribe.
Thank you.
It's pinned in the link. Make sure it's pinned. He's going live afterwards, so you can all go take the piss out of him as well. Chris is another £2. He goes, "This dude is obsessed with Nuno leaving." You talking about Anne? You talking about
Not talking about me.
Big up to you, Chris. Big up to you. I did get a reaction out of Anne. All right. Let's get into the West Ham preview. Nuno hasn't done a presser. I think from what we understand, I reckon Callum Hudson-Odoi is definitely still out with his injury. I haven't heard anything on Murillo. I think Murillo probably will be fit to play this one. Rob, I know you got to jump in 10 minutes, so let's kick it off with you. This is the team that started against Leicester. Let's just bring that back up on screen. You sticking or twisting, mate? In chat, what would you do?
So there's a similarity here with the Leicester game, which is that West Ham have been rubbish all season, and now they've just won a game. They've won their last game, which is exactly what Leicester did. They beat Southampton.
Who's it against?
United.
They won against Man United. So
yeah, but Leicester beat Southampton.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't think we can just assume that West Ham are going to be rubbish. But I fully expect the players to fight tooth and nail as if Champions League is still a possibility. Because, obviously, it really comes down to what Villa do against Tottenham. But when is that? I can't work. I've just been trying to work out when.
Tomorrow.
Right. Okay. Well, then we may even know.
And Chelsea Man U's tomorrow as well.
Yeah. We'll
Right.
know.
Okay. So I mean that's obviously going to set the scene for it, because if Villa win that game, then the situation is really dire, because even the 6-pointer with Chelsea doesn't really get us out of jail. We'd be needing Villa to lose on the last day at Man U, which is not something you want to be relying on. I mean, look, but
can we not go through every permutation again?
I know, but what I'm saying is, right, obviously, if Villa beat Tottenham, we're going to be on a bit of a downer, because we're currently 15% to get in the Champions League. If Villa beat Tottenham, it's like 5%. Let's be honest, right? So, but nonetheless, I still expect the players to go out and fight as if the Champions League is still a possibility.
Of course, because it is.
Yeah, well, I know, but is it your go or is it mine? So,
well, I don't know, Rob. You're waffling on. He asked you what your bloody lineup was, and you're waffling on, going on about all these permutations yet again for the 100th time this week.
Do you not think it affects the psychology? What happens in the other results? Nuno said for a start that having that Newcastle Chelsea game before us was going to upset the pre-match build-up, because they'd all be looking at the TV or looking at their phones.
I did not like that, by the way. I did not like that
either.
I
didn't like that.
It's like, how can I stop him? You stop him if you don't want him to see it. I disagreed with what he said.
Your phones in, get in that changing room.
Lock the door.
Incommunicado.
Sorry, go on, Rob. So
we don't
what would
think
you do with
anybody
the
else
team?
is coming back from injury, and I don't think anybody else did get injured, apart from Taiwo. So I think you just go with that again. I think Sangare is actually Sangare and Dominguez are impressing at the moment, so I would leave them in, and then the rest kind of picks itself.
So you stick with Morata. All right, let me go to Ant before he explodes, right?
Well, this is assuming that Murillo is still injured.
Yeah.
Okay, so assuming Murillo's out, I think he'll be back, right? But let's just play along now. And were you changing the back four? Are you sticking with Morata? I wasn't impressed with him.
Yeah, Morato's fulfilled what I said about him. Murillo will be back. He's got to be back. If he's got to be back. We're such a flaky side right now. You know, one defender's missing, we're letting goals in. One attacker's missing, we're not scoring. You know, it's like every player is so vital. You know, Einer's out, so we don't win any games. You know, it's like we've got to have our strongest side to be able to perform. That's the way it's looking right now. So Murillo has to be back. So I'm sticking with that. And I'm sticking with my original Leicester lineup, which is MGW out and Sosa in on the left side.
Well, you going 4-3-3?
Yeah. Dominguez on the right-hand side of midfield. We
would have lost 2-0 against Leicester with that team then. Because Gibbs White scored one and assisted the other.
No. It doesn't work like that, Rob. It doesn't work like that. You know, the whole game is different. Right? We wouldn't let 2 goals in, yeah? Okay.
He has a point.
So that would be my side. I don't give a shit what anybody says. MGW is out of form. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but he's terribly out of form and has been for quite a number of weeks now, several games, and it's cost us.
And he was in Team of the Week this week.
Yeah, well, also he's in Player of the Year. So let's move on. All right, before we talk about ridiculous people who know nothing about football. Right, Player of the Year. Fuck me. So that would be my choice right now. I'm not saying get rid of Morgan's White for all the snowflakes out there start having a fit and melting into their little pink
Shall I tell him what you said?
Yeah, but I was exaggerating. That
was one hell of an exaggeration, man.
I wouldn't let him go for free. I would charge money for him. Okay. So yeah, that's what I would do, because West Ham are a flaky side. They're not good. I know they won the last game, but against a Manchester United side that won't win again ever. Okay. So I'm not going to take that into account. They're a very, very poor side. And I think with the side that I would pick, we would win comfortably. With the side that Nuno's going to pick, it could be a struggle, because we've struggled with that side for the last few games.
Okay.
But you know what?
Are you saying,
you know what? We are actually sitting with a chance. I mean, It's ridiculous, but
It's
we
1
are.
point.
Other teams could lose. You know, I mean, Newcastle are Arsenal. You know that. I know Arsenal have been bad, but they're out of Europe now. They might have something to actually go for. And Arsenal are at home, so that's not cast iron.
And Newcastle won though. I think they're safe. Oh, we lost to we drew Leicester. So
we were saying
that. Yeah, I know. I'm grasping. Trust me. I'm just saying it's not totally over.
Well, leaving aside what the table looks like, we were saying that 68 points ought to be enough, and we can still get 68 points. Now, I mean, whether that's realistic or not now, but we should just perhaps try not to look at the table, because you never know. We might get handed a massive slice of luck. But wait a minute, and we weren't talking about other results, and now you've started doing it. And by the way, if you are going to
let very quickly, I didn't go into analyze every single one.
If you are going to let Morgan Gibbs White go on a free, you're going to have to drive him wherever it is anyway, because he's not going to be able to get there himself.
Yeah, that's true.
True. All right. Let's Carlos Curtis. Thank you for the £5. He goes, I think if Murillo is out, I would go Sells, Williams, Morato, Milenkovic, Bolly, Einar Dominguez, Sangare, Elanga, MGW, and Wood. So he's going to back 3.
I tell you what, I would swap Bolly for Morato if Murillo's not fit.
I don't think that's a bad shout.
Quick thing about Morato, I actually don't blame him for that goal. I blame Milenkovic for launching himself into Aina, which caused the whole loose ball.
Bro, anyway, you don't get done by Buonanotte like that,
it's general overall play.
Yeah.
So I would, okay, he's been found wanting on 2 goals this season, Morato. The other one was at Fulham, where he was out-jumped by Smith Rowe. But I do think that chaos for that goal was Aina had control of the guy, and Milenkovic launched himself out, took himself out of position, took Aina out, and caused the loose ball, which then... The problem is that unless Morato had tackled immediately, it's in the box and he can't bring the guy down. So he should have showed him outside. But I don't want to put 100% of the blame for that goal on Morato. And look, Bolly has not got 90 minutes in him. Can we stop that right now?
Yeah, but I'd rather start with him.
Yeah, but he did have a stinker against Exeter.
Morato is next up in my opinion.
They all did, didn't
Morato is next up in my opinion. I think he's a good player, and we should not blame him for that goal.
All right, let's see what Carlos got to say on his team. Carlos, what would you do?
Well, I think Nuno will probably go with that team there because he just doesn't trust Sosa or Jota Silva, does he? But for me, I would keep Aina, I'd keep Milenkovic, obviously, Sells in goal. I'm not convinced by Morato. I like Ant just said, I'd probably bring Bolly in, give Bolly a game. Yeah, maybe won't play the full game, but then you bring Morato on at the end. Obviously, Murillo, if he's fit, I'd want him to play, but I don't think he's fit. Williams fighting at left back. And then, I think Sangare has been brilliant.
Yeah.
Last few games, I think he's played really, really well. So I want to see him stay in the team. Anderson as well. He's been absolutely brilliant in that role. I think Morgan White plays, although I think he's been crap recently, to be honest. But I think he plays. I'd keep him in there. And then for me, Dominguez goes to the bench, and you pick Sosa or Jota to play there for me. Keep Wood up front and keep Elanga on the right.
Dominguez,
do you not feel, Carlos? Do you not feel
like Dominguez is like a left winger?
Yeah.
Do you not think that Dominguez has contributed a lot more to the Forest play than MGW has over the last 6 weeks?
Yeah, I think Dominguez has done more, but you could.
Why not MGW? It's his name, isn't it?
And then that's the reason. In theory, you could drop Morgan Gibbs White and play Dominguez there instead. I just don't want to see Dominguez in that position. You know,
I agree with that. It's not a left winger. I agree with that.
We're supposed to play 4-3-3.
4-3-3.
You want to play 4-3-3, but for me, I'd want to stick to a 4-2-3-1 and have actual width. I'd want Elanga on one side and another winger on the other side. That would be Sosa or Jota.
You have that with 4-3-3 though, mate. You have width. You've got 2 wingers on with.
Yeah, 4-3-3. Well, yeah, but for me, I don't want that. I don't want that formation. I want this.
No, fine. I just don't want you to make out that I'm not playing with any width.
Who's the 2 wingers in that formation?
Elanga and Sosa.
Oh, did you say Sosa? Yeah, then that worked.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're seeing in Sosa, if I'm being honest.
I've not seen a lot, but that's been the problem. We've not seen a lot.
Yeah, I think you've got to give him a go, haven't you? You just got to pick one of them and let him have a go.
I mean, we obviously bought him because he was a good player at the club he was playing for. So the fact that we've not seen him at Forest play, you know.
I get it. I just think it's too late in the season to try a curveball. Do you know what I mean?
Mate, it's desperate times now, mate. It is the time to throw curveballs and Hail Marys and everything else.
Carlos, do you need to set up?
I'm set up.
You're set up. All right, cool. Okay, Ez, what are you saying on this team?
Well, other than the Murillo swap, because we were quite sure that he was going to be starting against Leicester, and then he wasn't part of the squad at all. So I don't know what happened there. We still don't know what happened there, but I do expect him to be back in, and that's the only real change I'd make. And because I've kind of accused Nuno of being a bit of a tinker man recently, and I don't think he needs to tinker with that too much against West Ham for sure. But they do play with a back three, so I think we need to be certainly have more attacking options. At the same time, Dominguez has played really well, and he's kind of triggered the times when we have pressed. He's been the one who's triggering it, and I do like him. I don't like him in that position, but I do like that he gets quite a lot of freedom actually, because he's not stuck to one position. But what it does do is we see Elanga flipping from side to side, and it hasn't been effective. So Elanga needs to make his mind up what his best side is, and I think it is on the right, because I think it gives him more chance to get the ball into the box. This is where he's got most of his assists for Chris Wood, is from the right hand side. So I think he needs to go back and stay on that side. He needs to get support from Aina as well, because too many times in the Leicester game, Aina was running up that wing with no support whatsoever. So stick to your positions against West Ham, and I think we've got a better chance of creating those chances that we did throughout the season, because players knew where they were, knew what they needed to do, and we executed those counterattacks with impeccable accuracy. And that's because players knew their positions. He's moved them around too much in the last few games, or it might be the players deciding to do that. But I'm sorry, Mr. Elanga, your best position is down that right hand side. I need 100%. You to be that man and get with that ball in, you know?
Yeah. All right, so what are the predictions, chat? Get us your predictions in for this one. Shout out to Chris with the £2. He says neither Villa or Chelsea beat United.
I hope you say.
It's hard to argue. It's hard to argue, man. There's only one team there's one team I want to see them lose to. Is that right? Tottenham, yeah. Have I said that the right way around?
Yeah,
I have. Yeah.
No, you want him to lose. No, yes, you did say it right, because you want him to beat Villa. Right. You want him to beat whoever, Chelsea.
Yeah.
You only want him to lose against. Anyway,
I really don't know if I might just not watch this Europa final, man. I really might.
I'm thinking same. Yeah. PC game or something.
I just can't. All right, Carlos, what's your prediction, mate?
I think 1-1.
1-1.
Yeah.
Ooh, interesting.
The Champions League dream is over.
Great. That kills it off.
Sorry.
It might be a while to invite you back on, Carlos, mate.
Knowing Forest, they will try to extend the stress for as long as possible, and we'll still somehow be in it on the last day. So therefore, I think we will win. Just because it will make the hope go on a little bit longer before it's finally crushed.
The hope kills you.
That said, the last 2 seasons, it was all sorted out with a game to go, wasn't it? So, but
yeah, it might be this season, but not in our advantage.
In our favor.
I thought you were buggering off, Rob.
Well, I am now.
All right.
We'll win 1-0. There you go.
Ez, what are you saying?
I think we're going to take it to the last day, so I'm predicting a win. I'm going 2-1 to us, mate. I'm being the happy clapper that I am. You know, I've got to carry it on till the end of it. Until it's totally out of favour, out of us getting the Champions League position, then I've got to kind of keep playing the card.
There should be a reaction. Also, let's just remember, after the disappointment of Leicester, there should be a reaction. There definitely
Yes.
should be a reaction.
Like after the
You would hope so,
disappointment
wouldn't you?
Yeah, disappointment of Brentford and all the others.
Brentford
Well,
and the
after
disappointment of
after the
Everton.
disappointment of Everton, we won away
There
at
was a
Tottenham.
reaction.
man.
Yeah, the Tottenham don't count. When beating Tottenham doesn't count.
And what are you saying then, Ed?
No arguing with you.
All there is, plenty.
Mhm.
You know what? I've kind of come to terms with Europa now. I'm looking forward to our Europa campaign. You visit some really nice cities, and we can actually win that one, and then get in the Champions League following it and have a trophies. If Man U and Tottenham, the two shit sides, can get there, then we can. So I'm kind of happy with Europa right now. I think the Forest will win 1-0.
Okay.
Hey,
We could still
okay,
get
okay.
Champions League, by the way, because if we win 1-0,
Yeah.
and then
I think we'll
Chelsea
take it to
don't
the
win,
last
and we
game.
beat Chelsea, and you know,
I'd just say
and
take the L, so I don't have
snowball
to
starts
go
appearing
through
in
the
hell
team.
and don't melt and stuff like that.
I don't know, man. It's the hope that kills me. Just take the
It
L. If
is.
we're not gonna get it, man, don't make me hold out for hope for another week. Yeah.
What we
All
don't
right,
want
guys.
is Conference League. We must make sure we don't get confident that we get.
Well, Man
Europa.
City need to win the cup. I hate to say it.
All we
I
need
was
to
going to say,
finish
do we get
sixth.
Europa if Man City win automatically? It's, you
Yeah.
just,
If we
just get it.
finish 7th and City win, then we get Europa.
Yeah. If
Mm.
Palace
There's a
wins,
gap
7th
with-
is Europa.
7th is looking
Comfort.
likely, though, isn't it?
No.
It is
seventh's not looking
you.
likely. No. 6 is looking likely. We're going to Chelsea. We're going to.
No, what I mean is, it's unlikely we're going to drop below 7th.
We can't
No,
drop
we
it.
can't.
no,
Below
we
7th. It's
cannot.
impossible.
Mathematically, we cannot.
We can't.
So we
All right,
definitely
we're
will.
going to send you over to Carlos the Clown's channel, so make sure you're subscribed there. He is live. You can take him up on all his thoughts and watch how crap he plays Warzone. So
Whoa.
make sure you
I
hit the
enjoyed
like
watching
button.
him play. I enjoyed it.
Thanks, Anne. Thanks.
Yeah, no one
You
else
watching
does.
tonight?
No, he won't.
I'll be playing myself tonight. Not
Oh,
with
nice.
myself.
You'll
will be
be
playing.
playing with yourself tonight.
No, I said I did. I
no.
specifically
Go
said
say
not
hi to
I'm on that
Carlos.
note.
Guys, say hi to
Do you-
Carlos.
do you
Make sure
play
you
Warzone,
subscribe
Anne?
there, or I'm killing this stream. We'll see you
Fallout,
tomorrow.
Fallout.
Come on, you Reds.
You